We all know people who are brilliant on paper. They have the advanced degrees, the impressive technical skills, the high IQ. Yet, for all their intelligence, they seem to struggle in their relationships and their careers. They might be poor leaders, difficult colleagues, or unsupportive partners. They can't seem to connect with people or manage their own frustrations. On the other hand, we also know people who may not be academic geniuses, but who navigate the social world with an incredible and effortless grace. People are drawn to them. They are trusted, they are influential, and they know how to make others feel seen and understood. They seem to have a different kind of smarts. This other kind of smarts has a name: emotional intelligence, or EQ. Popularized by the psychologist and author Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to perceive, understand, manage, and use emotions, both your own and those of others. And here's the crucial part. While a high IQ might get you in the door for a job, research overwhelmingly shows that a high EQ is what allows you to thrive once you're there. It is a far greater predictor of life success, happiness, leadership effectiveness, and the quality of your relationships than your cognitive intelligence alone. The best news of all is that, unlike IQ, which is relatively fixed, emotional intelligence is a skill. It can be learned, practiced, and developed. Today, we are going to move beyond the abstract definition and explore what high emotional intelligence looks like in the real world. We will count down the 10 specific observable signs and behaviors of people with a high EQ. As we go through them, you can use this list as a mirror for self-reflection and as a roadmap for your own development. The first sign of high emotional intelligence is that they have a rich and nuanced emotional vocabulary. When a person with low EQ feels bad, they might just say, "I'm in a bad mood," or "I'm stressed." They use broad, generic labels. A person with high EQ has a much greater level of emotional granularity. They can pinpoint the exact feeling. Instead of just bad, they might say, "I feel disappointed because the project was delayed, a little frustrated with my colleague, and slightly anxious about the upcoming deadline." This isn't just about being a better wordsmith. There is a profound psychological principle at play here. You cannot manage an emotion that you cannot name. The act of precisely labeling an emotion moves it from the reactive, emotional part of your brain, the amygdala, to the thinking part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. The moment you name it, you take away its raw power over you. You can look at the feeling objectively instead of being consumed by it. People with high EQ are masters of their own emotional landscape because they have taken the time to draw a detailed map. The second sign is that they are curious, not judgmental about their feelings. A person with low emotional intelligence often has a secondary negative reaction to their own emotions. They feel angry, and then they judge themselves for it. "I shouldn't be so angry, what's wrong with me?" They feel anxious, and they criticize themselves for it. "Why can't I just relax?" This self-judgment just adds a layer of shame on top of the original painful feeling, making everything worse. A person with high EQ approaches their own feelings like a curious scientist. When they feel a surge of anger, their internal monologue isn't, "This is bad." It's, "That's interesting. I'm feeling a powerful surge of anger right now. I wonder what triggered that. What is this feeling trying to tell me?" This non-judgmental curiosity, a core tenet of mindfulness, is a superpower. It allows them to learn from their emotions instead of being controlled by them. They understand that their feelings are valuable data, signals from their subconscious mind that deserve to be investigated with curiosity, not suppressed with judgment. The third sign of high emotional intelligence is that they can pause between a feeling and an action. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, famously said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." People with high EQ are masters of that space. A person with low EQ lives with almost no space between stimulus and response. They feel a surge of anger, and they immediately send the reactive, scathing email. They feel a pang of anxiety, and they immediately reach for their phone to distract themselves. They are run by their emotional impulses. A person with high EQ has cultivated the ability to create that pause. They feel the same surge of anger, but instead of reacting, they take a breath. They notice the feeling. They give themselves a moment, an hour, or even a day to let the emotional wave crest and subside before they choose a thoughtful response. This ability to manage your impulses, known as self-regulation, is perhaps the most visible and impactful component of emotional intelligence. The fourth sign is that they are deeply empathetic listeners. Most of us don't listen to understand. We listen to reply. We are waiting for the other person to finish their sentence so we can jump in with our own story, our own opinion, or our own brilliant solution to their problem. A person with high emotional intelligence listens with a different goal. Their goal is to truly understand the other person's perspective and feelings. They practice active listening. They put away their phone, they make eye contact, and they give the other person their full presence. They ask clarifying, open-ended questions. And most powerfully, they can accurately reflect the other person's feelings back to them. They say things like, "It sounds like you felt really disrespected and invalidated in that meeting," or "It seems like you're feeling really overwhelmed and unsure of the next step." When you do this, you make the other person feel profoundly seen and heard, which is one of the deepest human desires. The fifth sign is that they are intrinsically motivated. People with lower emotional intelligence are often driven primarily by external factors: money, status, praise, or the fear of punishment. Their motivation is dependent on outside validation. People with high EQ, while they appreciate these things, are primarily driven by an internal fire. They are motivated by things like purpose, mastery, curiosity, and a desire to contribute to something bigger than themselves. Because their motivation comes from within, it is far more sustainable and resilient. They can persevere through setbacks and failures because their why is not dependent on a daily paycheck or a round of applause. They understand how to connect their daily actions to their deepest values, which provides an enduring source of energy and discipline. The sixth sign is that they handle criticism without getting defensive. For most of us, receiving criticism triggers our brain's threat response. It feels like a personal attack, and our immediate instinct is to defend ourselves, deny the feedback, or deflect blame onto someone or something else. A person with high emotional intelligence has learned how to manage this initial defensive reaction. They have separated their identity from their performance. They understand that a critique of their work is not a critique of their worth as a human being. So they are able to take that pause we talked about, regulate their defensive feelings, and then listen with curiosity for the potential grain of truth in the feedback. They ask themselves, even if this was delivered poorly, what can I learn from this? How can this feedback make me better? This ability to absorb and utilize criticism is a hallmark of maturity and a huge driver of personal and professional growth. The seventh sign, which is closely related, is that they apologize genuinely and effectively. A person with low EQ often gives a non-apology. They say things like, "I'm sorry if you were offended," which subtly places the blame on the other person's feelings. Or they say, "I'm sorry, but you also," which deflects responsibility. A person with high EQ understands the anatomy of a real apology. It requires self-awareness to recognize your mistake, empathy to understand the impact of your actions on the other person, and social skill to communicate your regret effectively. A real apology sounds like this: "I am sorry for what I did. I understand that my actions hurt you. There is no excuse. I will do my best to ensure it doesn't happen again." They take full ownership, they acknowledge the other person's pain, and they commit to future change. The eighth sign is that they accurately read social and nonverbal cues. A huge percentage of human communication is nonverbal. It's in our tone of voice, our facial expressions, our posture, and our gestures. People with low emotional intelligence are often oblivious to these signals. They might continue telling jokes when the mood in the room has become serious, or they might not notice that their colleague is visibly stressed and withdrawn. A person with high EQ has excellent social awareness. They have a well-honed ability to read the emotional currents in a room or a one-on-one interaction. They notice the slight hesitation in their partner's voice. They see the subtle slump in their team members' shoulders. This allows them to adapt their own behavior in real time to be more effective and empathetic. They can sense what is not being said, which makes them incredibly skilled communicators. The ninth sign is that they are adaptable and embrace change. The world is constantly changing. A person with low emotional intelligence often resists change because it feels threatening and creates uncertainty. They cling to old routines and familiar ways of doing things, and they can become highly stressed or anxious when faced with the unexpected. A person with high EQ demonstrates strong emotional regulation in the face of change. They understand that change is a natural and unavoidable part of life. While they may feel initial anxiety about the unknown, they don't let that anxiety paralyze them. They are able to manage their emotions, remain optimistic, and see change not just as a threat, but as a potential opportunity for growth and learning. Their emotional flexibility allows them to pivot and adapt far more effectively. And the 10th and final sign of high emotional intelligence is that they genuinely praise and uplift others. A person with low EQ and low self-worth often operates from a scarcity mindset. They see success as a zero-sum game. If someone else gets praised, it feels like there is less praise available for them. They may be stingy with their compliments or even feel threatened by the success of their own colleagues and friends. A person with high EQ operates from a place of abundance and self-confidence. Their sense of self-worth is internal, so they are not threatened by the light of others. In fact, they seek to amplify it. They are quick to offer sincere and specific praise. They publicly celebrate the wins of their teammates. They actively look for the good in others, and they call it out. This makes them magnetic leaders, cherished friends, and the kind of person everyone wants to be around. So, let's bring it all together. Emotional intelligence is not a soft skill. It is a set of concrete, observable, and learnable skills that fall under the banners of self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skill. The good news is that you can start developing your emotional intelligence today. Pick just one of these 10 signs. Perhaps it's practicing the pause before you react. Or maybe it's trying to name your emotions with more precision. Like any skill, your EQ gets stronger with practice. By choosing to develop it, you are not just becoming a better leader or a better partner, you are becoming a more conscious, more connected, and more complete human being.